So, first things first. Who am I? And where do I even begin, So I just collected a few very random photos in here. So first of all, I've always been very active. Sport's been a huge part of my life since I can remember, So I was actually a former athlete. I was an athlete. I was competing in show jumping, so horse riding. But apart from that, I've done pretty much everything: cycling, running, ice skating, skating. What else? I'm trying to bow and arrow, everything pretty much. Everything that involved some sort of movement. So I've been always fit, active, and health oriented, So yeah, I was an athlete, and I actually thought it was going to be my career, but it was super stressful, very expensive as well. So I quit pretty much overnight, and then I joined the gym. So I followed my dad actually, and I just started following him, lifting heavy weight, and just having fun, And I was like, oh, I actually like this. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I started educating myself, reading a lot and practicing, because I think practice was the most important bit there. So, loads of weights, mobility, stretching, everything you've probably seen online. I've done it. Okay. So yeah, being a very active, sportsy person, I went to university and I studied neuropharmacology. So I'm actually a neuroscientist. You can see me graduating here on the right hand side. I've been obsessed with how the brain works, with science, with pharmacology a little bit as well. And I always loved combining neuroscience, so how the brain works, with how the body moves, right? So merging science and neuroscience with movement. So when I was studying, I would always, just start with the gym or finish my uni and go straight to the gym and train, right? So a few years passed and I was like, okay, I graduated. What am I going to do now? And I didn't really see myself working in the lab. I really wanted to work with people. I wasn't sure what that's going to be, but I found consulting, and somehow I ended up being a strategy consultant. So I worked for a big corporation for almost 2 years. And why am I telling you this? Because I just want to show you that I am just like you. I am literally just like you. I've been probably very lucky to have this very early exposure to sports, thanks to my parents and probably my friends as well. But then I followed a very normal path, I would say, study, job, and that's pretty much it. But also what I wanted to kind of paint here for you is that I've done it all, and I've done it pretty well, and I've been doing it for over 15, 16 years, without my competitive career and past history. So I've done the mobility, I've done the stretching, I've done this as well, I was the person who my friends and my family and other people, eventually my clients, would turn to and ask, like, oh, how do you do all of this? Can you teach me? Can you show me how to move? Can you show me how to do this and that, right? So since I can't actually remember when was the first time I helped someone move better. And yes, I want to highlight it here. I never say that I help people train, improve strength, become stronger or look better. I always say that I help people move better because I've been obsessed with it since I remember. I don't know why. Maybe because, I'm a scientist, so I love solving, and also a strategy consultant, so I love solving complex problems. But I always consider movement as something to break down and to really deeply understand, to make sure that we're actually getting closer to our goals and we have this under our control, right? More about this later. So I started helping people move better probably when I was like 15, because I think that was maybe not 15, 16. I think that was the first time I stepped into the gym. So helping my friends, helping my family, I finished uni and then I started having, my first clients. I would call myself a PT. So I would, obviously after getting certified and everything, educating myself, I started doing like mobility workshops, movement workshops, then going to my clients' houses and doing one-to-one sessions. And I loved it. I love working one-to-one very closely with people because then I can actually educate them on everything, right? Movement related. And then, a few years ago, I moved fully online because I started getting so many clients, so many people interested. I was like, I really want to help everyone. And I also realized that online way is way better, not even easier for the client, but better, because they literally have me in their pocket 24/7, 7 days a week. And I can always help them. I can always make adjustments. I see and control everything. Whereas when you actually go to someone in person, well, ideally you would see me every single day and talk to me for 3 hours, but that's impossible, right? For both myself and yourself, because you also have a job, you have your life, and so I realized this is how I'm going to optimize this and make sure that I can help as many people as I can in the best, most efficient way. And I also added a few of my clients here, and that is not me, but I love them. Still working with some of them, but just wanted to put my lovely people's faces on here. Anyway, back to my story. So as you can see, I am very fit, very sportsy, like sport. Yes, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go gym. That's not a problem. I don't need motivation. I know I got to do this because health is important for me, right? And we all know this, just like you. Also, career, very important thing for me, right? From uni to strategy consulting to my own business right now and helping other people, very important. I'm always very dedicated, very thorough, I would say as well. And I just love it, right? I'm a problem solver, again, just like you. And yet, even though I am, again, just like you, I used to be doing all the right things and everything, I ended up here. I don't think the video is going to play, maybe. Here we go. So maybe you've seen this on my social media as well. I was trying to do, I think, a pistol squat or a shrimp squat, and I still remember the pain that I felt in the front of my hip, because I have struggled, I did struggle, because I don't have that anymore, with hip impingement. So chronic hip pain, and also later down the line I developed chronic back pain as well, which you can see here. Actually, my vertebrae is a little bit twisted, and here my hip joint is just not working properly. So what happened? Well, I, just like you can guess, I went to physiotherapists, 5 physiotherapists, a chiropractor, so many deep tissue massages. I think I even tried dry needling, stretching, mobility, strengthening. Obviously, I've been doing this for 15 years, right? Analyzing my movement, changing training plans, everything. And then I heard operation after doing my MRI and x-rays as well, but if you don't want to operate, you have to completely change the way you train, because that's necessary. You gotta work on this, you're gonna strengthen that, blah blah blah, something about core engagement, whatever. I'm like, mate, I have all of this in here, like I can do it with my eyes closed. Worse than that, by 2 of these physiotherapists, I was actually left on red. That was very depressing, because I remember I left the clinic, I sat down in my car and I cried. I just cried. It was awful because, well, first of all, it was hurting 24/7, just like you can see here, not just when I was working out. It started just hurting when I was doing very extreme and hard exercise, but then it was just like 24/7, back in hip pain, like constantly. I would go to sleep and wake up, pain all the time. Anyway, so I was sat in that car, right? So it was hurting, first of all, but also it hurt me here, because I heard my diagnosis, like, change this, you can't train, like, you are pretty much damaged. And unless you operate, there's maybe like 50% chances you're going to get back to everything, right? And I was like, this is awful. So the next day I messaged them again saying, okay, so what would be the plan and everything. I got no reply from one of them. I double messaged again, no reply, and I sent them another MRI results because I also did the hips again. No reply. All my messages were read, but I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe my situation was just too complex for them. And the second one actually replied later saying he doesn't actually have any idea what to do now. No plan for me. I was like, okay, great, thanks. Anyway, and then a few weeks later, I think, maybe even earlier, I went to my friend who also happens to be a physiotherapist. And she told me, and I told her about all of this, like I went to these physios, like it was the fifth specialist, sorry. They told me this, but now they're not replying. Like, what should I do? Da 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 da. Almost crying to her as well. And she told me this, Ania, but you know what you need to do. And then we just like sat in silence, and I thought, damn, like I actually do. And this one sentence from her literally changed everything. 5 seconds, Anya, you know exactly what to do. And then something switched, and I was like, I do. I've been training so hard for the past 15 years. I am educated more than most of the people on this planet on human anatomy and everything, biomechanics, movement and stuff. And it's not to brag or anything, it's just to show you that knowledge is not everything. Information is not everything, because I have that, and I've had it for a long time. I read research papers to bed. Like, that is a bit weird, right? A bit obsessive. Anyway, and I realized that I've been constantly looking for someone else to fix me, constantly outsourcing my problems. I didn't even consider like, okay, stop and actually do what you should do. And later on that, I'm going to tell you a bit more on that later in this workshop. But I just wanted to show you how this one sentence, this realization, revelation moment that I had changed everything. It made me realize that this is what I have to do. And guess what? This one change, I changed a few things that I'm going to break down in a second, in how I move, how I live, how I perceive pain, how I perceive life and everything, led to me being pain-free. And here I am, a few years later, helping other people get to that stage. After trying everything, I now help people get rid of their back pain, stiffness, never fear movement again, know exactly what they need to do if they have a little flare up, regain control of their body. Because I've been there. It's awful. It's an awful feeling. And I don't want anything to feel like they are stuck and dependent on someone else. Because I myself lived through that. And I don't wish it to anyone.